Did you know that Mexico City is sinking by about the height of a person every 4 years? Or that the world's largest pyramid by volume is in Mexico? What if I told you that if you put all the kids and teens in Mexico together, they'd form a group bigger than the entire population of Australia? Well, Mexico is a country full of crazy facts like these. So settle in, because we're about to reel off 15 of the wildest facts about Mexico that you probably never knew. Mexico is the 13th largest country in the world. Many people think Mexico is medium-sized, but it's actually huge. Mexico is the 13th largest country on Earth. It covers about 2 million square kilometers. To put that into perspective, Mexico is almost 3 times bigger than Texas. If you stretched it out across Europe, it would almost reach from Spain all the way to Poland. Because Mexico is so big, it has everything from deserts in the north to tropical jungles in the south, snowy mountains, and long coastlines on both the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. 14. Mexico has more than 700 reptile species, the most in any country. Did you know that Mexico is the country with the most reptile species in the world? There are over 700 types of reptiles living there, which is more than any other country, even more than Australia. This includes snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles living in all kinds of places, from deserts and forests to beaches and mountains. Many of these reptiles are unique to Mexico and can't be found anywhere else. For example, the axolotl, a special kind of salamander, lives only in Mexico. 13. Over 25% of Mexico's population is under 15 years old. Here's something interesting about Mexico's people. More than 25% of the population is under 15 years old. That means 1 out of every 4 people in Mexico is a child or teenager. In fact, that's a much younger population than many other countries like the United States or most European countries. To give you an example, if you put all those kids and teens together, they'd make up a group bigger than the entire population of Australia. This youthful energy shapes everything in Mexico, from schools and playgrounds to parties and festivals. If you visit Mexico, you'll see lots of young people bringing life to cities and towns. 12. The world's largest pyramid by volume is in Mexico. It's easy to think the biggest pyramid is in Egypt, but actually, the world's largest pyramid by volume is the Great Pyramid of Cholula in Puebla, Mexico. This pyramid is about 63 miles southeast of Mexico City. The base covers about 450 meters by 450 meters, roughly the size of 5 soccer fields placed side by side. Its total volume is estimated at around 4.45 million cubic meters. To put that in perspective, this is nearly twice the size of Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza, which has a volume around 2.4 million cubic meters, even though Giza's pyramid is much taller. Unlike Giza's pyramid, which reaches about 147 meters tall, Cholula's pyramid is shorter, about 66 meters high, but much wider. This giant pyramid looks more like a huge hill covered in grass and trees rather than the classic pyramid shape many imagine. Because of this, the Spanish who arrived in the 16th century didn't realize it was a pyramid at first. They built a Catholic church called Nuestra Señora de los Remedios right on top of it. The Great Pyramid of Cholula was built over many centuries, starting around 200 BC and continuing until roughly the 9th century AD. But millions of years before then, something unimaginable happened in Mexico. 11. The meteorite that caused the mass extinction of the dinosaurs landed in Mexico. You may have been taught that the dinosaurs disappeared suddenly, but did you know that the actual event that led to their extinction happened right in Mexico? About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid estimated to be around 7 miles wide came hurtling through space and slammed into Earth. It was an incredibly powerful impact that carved out a gigantic hole in what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in eastern Mexico. This massive scar on Earth's surface is known as the Chicxulub crater, and it measures approximately 125 miles across. This chain of events led to the extinction of an estimated 75% of all species on Earth, including all non-avian dinosaurs, meaning all dinosaurs except those that evolved into birds. It completely reset life on our planet, paving the way for mammals and eventually humans to dominate. Did you know that even today you can still see the subtle signs of this ancient impact? If you visit the Yucatan Peninsula, particularly around cities like Mérida, you are literally standing within or very close to the edge of this massive buried crater. The famous cenotes, those beautiful natural deep water sinkholes found all over the Yucatan, are believed to have formed partly because of the cracks and changes in the Earth's crust caused by the Chicxulub impact. 10. Copper Canyon in Mexico is the longest canyon in North America. If you think the Grand Canyon in the U.S. is the biggest canyon in North America, you're about to be disappointed. Copper Canyon, located around 600 kilometers inland in northern Mexico's Chihuahua state, is actually deeper and much larger. It is made up of 6 big canyons connected together, covering an area 4 times bigger than the Grand Canyon. The deepest point of Copper Canyon is about 1,879 meters, 6,000 feet deep. That's even deeper than the Grand Canyon's deepest spots. In fact, if you stacked 5 Eiffel Towers on top of each other, you'd still be short of the canyon's bottom. Some native Raramuri people have lived in these hard-to-reach canyons for hundreds of years and are famous for running long distances on rough paths wearing sandals. Copper Canyon also has waterfalls taller than Niagara Falls and hosts rare animals like the Mexican gray wolf. 9. Mexico City is built on an ancient lake and is slowly sinking. The ground underneath Mexico City is mostly made up of soft, squishy lakebed clay and volcanic soil. Think of it like a wet sponge. For hundreds of years, people have been pumping out water from deep underground storage areas called aquifers to provide water for the city's massive population. When you remove water from a sponge, it gets flatter, right? That's exactly what's happening to Mexico City's ground. It's slowly compacting and shrinking. This process is called subsidence. Some areas are sinking faster than others. While the city's average sinking rate is generally between 10 to 30 centimeters per year, some parts are dropping even faster, by as much as 40 to 50 centimeters annually. To put that into perspective, Mexico City is sinking by about the height of a person every 4 years. This is a really fast rate. If you compare it to Venice, another famous sinking city, Mexico City is sinking twice as fast. You can actually see the effects of this sinking all over the city. Iconic landmarks like the Angel of Independence Monument have had to have extra steps added to their bases because the ground around them keeps sinking lower. 8. Mexico is the largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. When you think of Spanish, you might first think of Spain, but Mexico actually has the largest number of Spanish speakers worldwide. Over 125 million people speak Spanish as their native language here. That means about 1 out of every 5 Spanish speakers on Earth lives in Mexico. To give you some context, Spain itself has only about 48 million Spanish speakers. Mexico's Spanish-speaking population is one of the largest in the entire world, making the country a linguistic giant in the Americas. 7. Mexico has the second largest silver reserves on Earth. Many people think that countries like the U.S. or Canada are the biggest when it comes to silver, but actually, Mexico is the top producer of silver, making over 6,300 metric tons every year, more than any other country. When it comes to silver reserves, which means the amount of silver still underground waiting to be mined, Mexico has the second largest amount in the world, with about 37,000 metric tons. The only country with more silver reserves is Peru. To give you a sense of how big this is, if you spread out all that silver, it would cover a huge distance across Mexico, from the southern jungles all the way up to the northern deserts. Mexico produces about 24% of all the silver made worldwide, earning it the nickname Silver Giant. 6. Mexico has numerous islands. Mexico has more than 1,300 islands, mostly found in 3 main areas: the Pacific Ocean, the Gulf of California, and the Caribbean Sea. These islands are tiny but very important for Mexico's nature and economy. For example, Isla Tiburon in the Gulf of California is really big. bigger than the city of Los Angeles. It is a special home for unique animals and plants and is sacred to the Seri indigenous people. The Revillagigedo Islands, far out in the Pacific, are often called the Mexican Galapagos because of their amazing sea animals and birds that live nowhere else. The Caribbean islands, like Cozumel, are famous for beautiful coral reefs and attract many tourists. 5. Mexico has the largest underwater cave system in the world. It's called Sac Actun, which means white cave in the Mayan language. This cave system is the longest underwater cave in the world, with more than 346 kilometers of tunnels filled with crystal clear water. To give you an idea of how huge that is, if you tried to swim through the whole cave without stopping, it would be like swimming from part of the Yucatan Peninsula deep into the Gulf of Mexico, all underwater. Every time it rains a lot, new parts of the cave system are found, making it even bigger and proving that Mexico is truly the capital of underwater cave exploration. 4. Mexico's La Bufadora near Ensenada is the second largest marine blowhole on Earth. At the southern edge of the Baja California Peninsula, near the city of Ensenada, you'll find La Bufadora. Many people think blowholes are rare, but La Bufadora is actually the second largest marine blowhole in the world. Only one in Australia is bigger. It forms when ocean waves crash into an underwater cave and force water up through a small opening, sending a huge spray of water shooting up as high as 30 meters, almost 100 feet, about the height of a 9-story building. The spray makes a loud, thunder-like sound that can be heard from far away. 3. The country sits on the Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire is a huge circle around the Pacific Ocean where most of the world's earthquakes and volcanoes happen. About 90% of the biggest earthquakes and 75% of all active volcanoes are found here. That means Mexico is in a very shaky and fiery spot on Earth. This happens because Mexico is where two big pieces of the Earth's crust, called tectonic plates, crash and slide under each other. One of them, the Cocos Plate, is always pushing underneath the North American Plate, creating a lot of pressure deep underground. This causes many small earthquakes daily, usually around 60 to 70 earthquakes every day. The most are too tiny for people to feel. In 1985, a huge earthquake hit Mexico City and killed over 10,000 people. Then, exactly 32 years later, on the same day, September 19th, another big earthquake struck in 2017 and caused hundreds of deaths. That's why the country created one of the first early warning systems in the world that can give people a few seconds to prepare before an earthquake hits. 2. The Rio Grande River, starting in the U.S., partly forms the border with Mexico. You might think the Rio Grande is solely an American river, but what if I told you that this vital waterway forms a substantial part of the border between Mexico and the United States? The Rio Grande, known as the Rio Bravo del Norte in Mexico, starts its journey in the mountains of Colorado in the U.S. and flows for approximately 1,896 miles before emptying into the Gulf of Mexico. This makes it one of North America's longest rivers. For a significant portion of its length, it acts as a natural boundary, separating the U.S. states of Texas and New Mexico from the Mexican states of Chihuahua, Coahuila, Nuevo León, and Tamaulipas. However, only about 20% of its water actually reaches the Gulf of Mexico, because the vast majority of its water is diverted for critical uses like irrigating farmlands on both sides of the border and supplying drinking water to numerous cities. 1. Mexico has one of the longest coastlines in the world. Mexico's coastline stretches approximately 5,800 miles, making it one of the longest coastlines in the world. To put this in context, if you were to walk non-stop along the entire Mexican coastline, you'd cover almost the same distance as driving across the United States from coast to coast twice. This extensive coastline is divided between two primary bodies of water. First, about 7,338 kilometers, roughly 4,560 miles, face the Pacific Ocean and its adjoining Gulf of California, also known as the Sea of Cortez. Then there is the 2,805 kilometers, about 1,740 miles, of coastline along the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea on the east. The country's diverse coastline reflects its unique, narrow, Y-shaped landmass that tapers in the southeast before curving northward along the Yucatan Peninsula. If you enjoyed these crazy facts about Mexico, there are more where these came from. Just subscribe to our channel and wait for our next upload. While you wait, watch our earlier video, 25 facts about Europe's geography that seem false but are true. Trust me, you'll be truly amazed. Tap your screen right now to watch.